Shit is all over the place there for a second.
Hey, there we go. Look who's there. Live.
Uh-huh. Is it going?
Yeah, I got the notification. You're up.
We made it.
You're on. We did it.
We're back. Everybody
Good.
returned to their point of origin safely.
That's right. Safe bus ride home.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'll tell you that automatic negative is the drive home.
Oh, yeah?
It was a stretch. I had to be like, for a bit there, windows down, tap, in my, trying to stay like.
Yeah.
It was. It would have been nice to have somebody else ride along with me to, to chat with or take part in take part in keeping me awake.
You are married. No, I'm just kidding. You are married, Jason.
I didn't. But then they probably wouldn't appreciate all my stops. Like I did go to Fry's Electronics.
Oh, nice. Actually, that's actually pretty cool.
We don't have Fry's up here, so it's it's a treat and a delicacy.
Let's see.
To explore the wonders of Fry's.
Okay. I mean, those SSD discounts were like really, really on point though, so I don't blame you.
So yeah, Gen Con though.
Yeah. So talk.
We made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We survived, guys. We did survive. I'm so proud of us. It was such a great experience.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is just talk about some pluses and minuses from our Gen Con experiences. So you guys want to start off, Hollis?
Oh man! Oh boy! Here we go. So
You get the lead off, buddy.
Obviously we all went to Gen Con, and we met a lot of like old friends that we've met throughout the history of us playing LCGs, other board games. We got to have a lot of fun with L5R. For me overall, I actually would say this was the third year that I've gone to Gen Con, and this was just because of the people that I went with and what I was involved with and everything. This was my best year. This was actually my favorite Gen Con year out of every year that I've gone so far. And it's a trend that I hope continues. I hope that it continues to be. Oh, look at Corey! Look at you got some. Bro, you got some right there. No, it was a ton of fun. I had such a great time. What'd you guys think about overall?
I mean, I always have a blast every year. It's like my most look forward to event each year. So this is my fourth year that I've gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of fun. So I think we had probably the most fun hotel room in most of the convention. So yeah. So hey, Hollis. So what was your positive? Was it just that? Was that your big?
Well, if
takeaway?
I had to choose one big positive, and people that are gonna go for the lottery at Worlds this year are probably going to be envious of this. But the biggest positive is that I'm lucky enough to where I get to do this podcast effectively every week with you guys. And I know a lot of the Atlanta boys and things like that. So while Gen Con is normally fun, what was different about this year compared to the previous years I had gone was that I got to room with you fellows. And not only I knew
you did.
And not only was it a lot of fun, and Jameis and I not only did I get to witness Jameson almost getting into fights at 4 a.m.
Canadians aren't as friendly as you think we are.
No,
are we?
they're not. They're not friendly at all. They're not. They're fine. But I mean, basically, that was the big thing for me was that I got to spend time with you guys, and even though Corey, I know you live in Atlanta, Jameson, you're in Canada, we talk all the time, but I so rarely drive myself to Atlanta, and of course, I've never been to Canada. So it was cool to kind of have to room with everyone and just have a lot of laughs over just the stupidest things imaginable, not even related to Gen Con. That stuff was hilarious.
Yeah, 804 boys had a good time.
Yeah, and huge shout-outs to David, Graham, and Jeff for also being fantastic roommates for the weekend. There's
Yeah, definitely.
some pretty funny pictures.
David in the robe.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all the inside jokes though that that
sorry, guys.
people won't get. No, I think that I was really surprised how laid back Gen Con is compared to my previous top tier experiences at top tier tournament experiences like at Worlds and stuff like that, right? Like Worlds, everyone has like, you know, their blinders on and they're right focused, nose to the grindstone, get in your reps, get in your games. And Gen Con is all like, you know, where are we going to eat and let's get beers. And it was just a crazier, more looser time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean that's definitely a plus for me. I would go back for sure. I had a great time. The only downfall is not seeing like the UK guys. You know that
yeah.
You know, if more UK people came out to Gen Con, it would just be perfect, right? Like all our buddies from overseas. So it was it was great though. But it seems like everybody that I knew, like from around the mostly experiences through the Netrunner community, everyone just comes to Gen Con. It seems like it's just the thing that you have to do, right? If you're playing.
Oh, because there's so much stuff going on. I mean, it's more than just tournaments. There's so many other things, and it's fantastic. So, yeah.
So did what about a negative? Like, let's flip over. Hollis, what do you got a complaint about?
Wait. Did we get Corey's positive?
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't think we did.
I tried to fly under the radar. I mean, that's easy, right? I guess like my big positives that I had a lot of a blast with is, of course, like seeing people that like that time of year is really the only time I get to see them, and so being able like to hang out and just have a relaxed time, you know, play some games, you know, goof off, shit like that. I also, like, a huge plus for me was just seeing what appeared to be a wildly successful launch of a game that's very near and dear to me. And to see, you know, the Legend of the Five Rings license like kick back off, it was definitely a sight, and it seems like the game's gonna be fine. Its launch is gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And another thing is Island Noodle. Oh man, the best Island Noodle. Okay.
Yeah, they're good.
Sorry.
They're good, man. They're really good, and they're fast. You see the long line, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna take forever. No, they're knocking it out.
Those guys winning every year. Just okay. So yeah, I guess I can start off with a negative though. I will say that my main negative was finding the line to get in the end of the line for the FFG booth.
Oh,
as soon as the door opened, that was like how it started. Like the Gen Con experience started when they mentioned. I was just like, I really hope my rest of the trip is not like this first like 5 minutes.
Right.
But it seems like everybody eventually ended up getting what they were getting in line for anyway. So good for like lucky us that it didn't cost us anything.
Yeah, you know.
But that was a pretty frustrating experience right when the doors opened.
I don't know if it's even worth it. To tell you the truth, I don't know. Like waiting outside those doors for a couple hours or whatever it was. What did we get there at, like 10?
Yeah.
No. The doors opened at like. I mean, I think we were like good like hour and a half ahead of time.
Okay, I thought we got there. I thought we were there 2 hours early. So I don't know if it opened at 10 and we were there at 8.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that is right.
So, but like, I don't know what it is in Imperial, but I think we were like 3 or 4 meters away from the door.
Yeah. Yeah, Jameson, you said. What is that? Is that 20 feet? What is that? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
But we weren't far. from that door. Then those doors open, and we saw the FFG booth, and it was just like, over to it, and then all of a sudden people are like, the line goes this way, and then like we go this way, and we're shuffling, and then I'm looking, and I'm like, hey, there's people already in line. But hey,
there was a guy.
Let me finish this story.
But I know where this happens. Wrong.
Because and then they're like, oh, the line's over there, part, and then we like shuffle down this way. Oh, it goes this way, and then we shuffle around the back, and then like, no, it's over there, and you see the guy with the stick, and we're like, oh, that's where we fucking came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're right back where we began.
So if somebody had just said funnel this way into FFG, we would have been like right at the front of the line. But we went like backwards through the queue and traced the line around.
So before the doors opened, we had our game plan. We were going to go in, we were going to go right. And somewhere in that pathway, and so, by the way, common misconception, just because a guy in front of you is dressed like a Mantis Clan member does not mean he knows what he's doing and where he's going. Because we had the game plan to go right, and then this person ahead of Hollis goes left, but he goes left with confidence.
Yeah.
And then Hollis is like, I think we should go left. And then I'm like, well, I guess we're going left. And then James is behind me. It's like, all right, fuck it, we're all going left. And,
Yep.
And this is where all the trouble started.
Yep.
I will say mad props to the Shark Island booth directly beside, because after all that stress, I looked over and I was like, this booth looks like a beach. I'm heading over there. I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to go buy a copy of Shark Island.
Yeah, because that's when we all split, right? And then so yeah, negative experience, definitely the FFG line. Minor negative experience to continue that. So we all say, F this. We'll meet up in a second outside the crowd. I bolt over to a booth to pick up a small indie game that that is so hard for me to get. And I get there and I'm like, yes, you have a copy in? I'd like to buy this game. They're like, cash only. I'm like, cash only? Here you go, I'm out.
Yeah.
It
was so...
The very opening of the convention was not the best, but once we all got settled in, things leveled out a lot better. But the initial experience was left a little to be desired.
So then, I guess to talk about another negative experience is that so FFG ran this launch event for L5R, and man, did I underestimate the start time of this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I thought 12 o'clock go time. But like when did we start? 2?
They started the ceremony at 2.
Yeah.
We didn't actually start round 1 until 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Jeez. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize it been so long.
Yeah, so
and I think we were done with 5 rounds at around midnight.
Yeah, it was
because the rounds were extended because there was people who were new. They were like learning the game, and then they eventually got shorter. But the big problem they had is they would call round over, but the round wouldn't end at that. Some of the rounds would still go like another 20, 25 minutes after the round was called. So.
Yeah. And you want to be reasonable, like that. You know what? I'm gonna take that one then. That was my negative experience.
Okay.
And it's because I very much share the sympathies that both of you have already like described, and like how the line situation. It's complicated. All I really learned from that is that we need to always, if we're going to go to the FFG booth, we need to anticipate the line wrap and basically enter in from the right side, and basically stay, like when we enter that part of it, just stay on the right. Just don't even try to go to just stay to the right and just try to get near that back part of the line.
The left is the trap.
Well, yeah, are they in the same spot every year?
Yep.
Yeah. Never changes.
And for whatever reason, I didn't even realize it. I think in previous years we just happened to start on the right side, and we were just like, when you're getting effectively pushed in there, right? Like there's so many people, you're getting pushed in, and I guess I never really connected the dot. It's like, oh, just stay on the right, and just like maybe you'll hit the line, and you'll be fine. But my negative experience with Gen Con actually was during the tournament when people would spend an incredibly long amount of time on their last round of L5R.
Oh,
like that was killing, because like there were players who were like, time is called, and then 15 minutes after time is called, they're still attempting to determine like if there's anything they can do. Now, if we were like in a really large, like if we were like effectively at a true nationals, where you have 3 core and everyone knows what they're doing, sure, but you don't need to be super highly analytical at like this like opening ceremony part of the game where you have players that have never played before. Like the majority of players had never played before because the game came out the day we all bought it.
Yeah.
So there was no like, okay, sure, I guess playtesters had an advantage. Congratulations, like thank you so much for playtesting the game. It feels like it's a good game, but yeah, I mean like there had to be newer players that were sitting there like for 15 minutes after time was called, trying to determine, if they had actually won or could they win. And the problem there is that the tournament organizers are waiting to get those results so they can get ready for the next round. There's 704 people that they're trying to organize a tournament for. Over 700 people. It takes time. Also, I don't know if you know this, it takes time to print things on paper. A little bit of time, but it takes time. So I was just like, oh my god, guys, just in the round. I don't care, flip a coin. Like, figure it out, please. Please figure it out. Brutal.
Tell me how you really feel.
Brutal. It should not take you 30 minutes. It should not take you 15, 20 minutes after the game has ended to determine if you can do anything. And I understand the cards are new, but like, flip a coin, please just do it for me, for us.
Yeah. I think they could have came out with a little bit more strict tiebreak rules, but they did say after the events that they are like reevaluating and changing them, because I think that event and then Friday's event let them see where there were some issues in the rules that they had stated and figure out what they need to adjust and tweak to make it a little bit more efficient.
Well, I'll tell you what I would have liked to see from this event. I wish someone had sat me down and told me, they're like, listen, most of your games that you play, we'll say 98% are going to time. So basically play for the tie and draw this shit out and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because there was times when like I was really pressing to try and either break provinces and do things, but I didn't need to. And I would either overextend or maybe give them let them break a province so I could counter push and stuff like that, because rather than blow all my resources on the defense. So if I had have known that it was going to be a play for a tiebreaker, I probably would have done things a lot differently in my prep and in my deck building.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Tie breaks.
Positives. Hit us with something positive.
About the L5R tournament?
No, just in general.
Any positive.
Oh man. Okay. If you have the opportunity, I would recommend you do the True Dungeon series of events available at Gen Con. They are the single thing that would have ever made me leave a table with Andrew Navarro. So
true story.
True story. I would leave mid-interview while being recorded. I would leave mid-interview while being recorded to go do these. They're basically like they're LARP-ish kind of. Like you don't like dress up in your wizard robe and wizard hat, but you play a class and there's like you play shuffleboard for the combat when it happens, and there's like puzzles that require group effort to like resolve the puzzle and do stuff. Like everyone has to pull things in a certain order or like find items to put on pedestals in the right order. Like it was very cool. Every year is different, and it was a lot of fun. Like that's actually one of my favorite things to do at Gen Con. I pretty much try to do it every single year now if I can. I love it, and I'm a bard, so that's always a plus, is why I sing. So yep.
It's got them pipes.
Yo, me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
cool. So good.
I'm gonna throw a positive. Shout out to Z and the Broken Egg guys for those swagtastic L5R tokens. Those things are amazing. And if you haven't checked out some of the other stuff those guys do, I highly recommend you just take a look at them. They do a lot of really neat tokens for a lot of different game systems, and aside from the very first run of Netrunner tokens, everything else they've done has been excellent.
No, yeah, you're actually right though.
I'll give them a pass on some of the Netrunner tokens. Those left a little bit desired, and there was a lot of people who would complain about them. Quoted literally the worst thing in Netrunner.
Damn.
But since then they've grown and come a long way and done really excellent products. So it's awesome. And also, huge shout out to Andrew for taking time out of his really busy con schedule to chat with us for a bit.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, that was a huge positive. I'm glad that we got to sit down with him and really talk about some directions and stuff. I mean, and he was really... What you guys saw was not 100% of the conversations.
Definitely not.
He spent a lot of time hanging out and talking with us and just shooting the shit about a whole bunch of different things that, you know, he could have just come, sat down, did his 30 minutes and shook hands and left. But this guy, this guy was super courteous, super nice, real stand-up, you know, Canadian mentality. Just a great, just a nice guy.
Oh God.
Oh God. God.
No, but to be serious with this, we know that his schedule there's a lot of other people waiting to get in line to talk with FFG about stuff. Like after they released the Legion announcements, there was a lot of miniature podcasts, a lot of miniature articles, game coverage stuff that he had to do and go and get that out there. But he specifically made time for us, and we went way over our allotted sit down time with him. So I think that was incredible. I think the state of the state of Netrunner is a lot better than what people think. So that is, you know, a great positive and a great takeaway. Unfortunately, there was a production problem, and that has pushed things back. I'll
stir that pot if you guys want me to stir. I'll stir. I don't mind stirring the pot. There,
yeah, just hold on. Let me stay in the positive world. And I think that as much as people want to hear what's happening, I think they just have to know that they're not going to fold this game. They're not going to fold Netrunner. It's such a big thing for FFG. I know it doesn't get, you know, it doesn't look like it gets treated that way, but they're a small shop doing a lot of big things. So I think it's just give them. If you love the game and you've loved it for this long, give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you can turn your back on it and start you know, posting about the game being dead a billion times on social media is gonna, you know, bring any kind of positive to the community. So I think you just need to look at that interview and look at what he's saying, where Android was his prime game that he first started, his prime you know, prime IP that he worked on. He's not, and now he's head of the studio. He's not just going to turn his back on it and let it die out. Like he's invested in it. So I think there's big things coming for Netrunner, and it's in good hands.
I'm with this.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Go ahead.
So I hate to do this because I know when I begin to talk about this, I know the Netrunner fans are gonna kind of roll their eyes and say, yeah, whatever. But I mean, I'm gonna use this as the analogy. I think sort of kind of. So if you look at old school L5R, when we got to play in that tournament. I knew that I was going into this L5R tournament seeing a lot of old school players that played the old game. And they were fans of the old game in spite of the fact that it had really kind of, I want to say had been dead, but the truth is, right, it wasn't, there was nothing to have to build any sort of life back to put life back in the game until the reboot, obviously. But those people remained. They were still fans of the game regardless. They stuck with it because it was a game they enjoyed playing regardless of the lack of support. They stuck through it. Now, oddly enough, even with the sort of weird like way L5R has kind of made people feel a little off-put by the support for Netrunner, I feel like that Netrunner community is now in my head the new niche community similar to what people were talking about when they talk about L5R. Except I think Netrunner might be in a little bit better position. So I, like everybody else, was pretty disappointed by the lack of announcements for anything related to Netrunner.
Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, like, and I think we all were like when we all found out, because I think we had all kind of like said on the way up, even like talking about it just privately. We were like, dude, we've heard nothing about Netrunner like in a while. They have to be announcing something at Gen Con, whether it's the new data pack, whether it's like going to be some spoilers. We got to see something that's going to like breathe life back into the game and make people excited about it again. You know, because, and we had heard all the rumors, right? We heard about all kinds of rumors regarding the game and what cards were going to be included, cards being banned, new most wanted lists, all kinds of stuff. And then we get to, you know, the day of, and there's nothing. And I think we all were like, really? Like nothing came about? Like you guys didn't have like any bullet point at all for Netrunner whatsoever. And that's a very disappointing thing, right? Because like I think we all at some point we were really into Netrunner, regardless of what's happening in our meta that may affect that decision. We were really feeling the game. The game is fun. Like to my opinion, Netrunner is still one of the best games that I've ever played, and so that was really disappointing. I talked to players of Netrunner. They look at the game right now, and they basically tell me, "Hey, Wild Moons may be this amazing deck right now that is good no matter what no matter what's really available. The meta is really diverse. It's really really fun." And this is sort of my real talk as like a part of it. So the players make it seem like the meta is actually more diverse than it has been in a very long time since the Mumbad cycle. And then players are having fun. I think there were even 2 Wayland decks that were in the top 8, which is like, that's crazy. Like I think every faction was represented in top 8.
They finally made it.
They finally made it. We got there.
Oh.
We got there. And so, knowing the meta, it was a little diverse, that makes me really hopeful. Now you see the difficulty I was facing, where it's like, I got no new information about the game that I love. And other fans of the game are telling me that the game is in a good spot. So I'm over here like, I don't know what to think. And then I had a conversation. We were lucky enough to have a conversation with both Michael Boggs and Andrew Navarro. And while I know they're representatives from FFG, so they're gonna support their company, but it's also a matter of like I believe them. Like hanging out with Boggs, and talking to Andrew, they seem very confident that Netrunner is here to stay. They've shown no like sign that the game is going to go on a decline, that they want to get rid of the game or push it out slowly and all that stuff. Like they seem very very confident that the game will continue and they want to support it as much as they can. Which, while at first I was skeptical, after listening to their energy about it, I believe them. Like, no question. Like, there's no reason they would put so much effort into talking about the game and how much they love the game if they were not going to continue to support the game. Now, we can get in a separate conversation, we're not going to get into it now, about like how they can go about supporting Netrunner, because I have my own opinions on that stuff, things like that. But I feel much better after being able to talk with them. And for those of you that listen to us, about the game, that we very much care about Netrunner as a game, primarily because it was our ability. It allowed us to come speak with you guys week after week, and in general, we like the game. So, we were disappointed also, and that definitely made us less scared about what's coming. We're more comfortable now knowing the game is what we think is in good hands. And so far, the things said about Boggs and Andrew are very positive. So I'm pretty hopeful. Pretty darn hopeful.
Do you know what would have been nice though? Is that stand up. So I will say this is that I can see like being on the side of let's call it not being in the know, like say as a regular player, you can see that having no announcements and no at one of the biggest gaming conventions around, doing their official in-flight report, this is like the year ahead, what's coming, all of their stuff. Not having anything mentioned is scary.
Yeah.
Right? Going up against a release of one of, now it's like, I know that every game they put out, it's, like next year's whatever the living card game Fantasy Flight puts out will be their biggest release. Ever since Netrunner's the biggest release. Conquest is the biggest release. Game of Thrones is the biggest release. L5R is the biggest release. Like, it just every year it just keeps getting more and more. But you look over and you see the organized play structure that was built in to Five Rings. Excuse me. And you look at what you got from Netrunner, and you kind of had to cry. Right? Like L5R was doing like prize releases that made you want to stick around to the end. They were doing prize releases per game. Like you're playing for this, and that's something that started at Worlds last year, like the bounty during a match. They put a promo on the table and you play for it. So you had incentives to stick around or to win your match. But with Netrunner, you basically got your if you did not make top 16, I believe if you played one round and dropped, you got the same prize that the person that got 17th place got, right? Which is you got one alt art, fucking what's his name?
Bagot.
You got the one alt art Bagot, and you got your participation Gen Con coin. Like there was no putting forth a play set. There was no like when you completed you got the rest of it. Like at Worlds, it was nothing. So like I said, like the last place guy got the same as the 17th. So that's kind of weird. Especially when you look over and on the next table is just the street, they're raining down prizes like dollar bills at a strip club.
That's a good analogy. Good analogy. Promos. Hey. Yeah. No.
But I don't know, and I don't know what to say about that, right? Because then no announcements and the lack of support in that game. That's what makes you wonder, right? And I don't know if maybe the prize pool was based on registration. I don't know how that works, right? Because we know that numbers were down. There's no hiding that. So what happens is maybe that they're allowed to budget so much per how many people enter. And because they had obviously a 700 person tournament, and they had they had another tournament with max capacity and stuff like that, that they just had more budget associated to it. I don't know, right? Because the truth is that Netrunner is a phenomenal game, but it didn't sell out.
Right.
You had the people that are tried and true in the community, the predominantly dominant people that you would expect to dominate at Worlds, the people that you see dominate at their nationals and regionals show up because they had their buys and they had their places and stuff like that. So the regular top tier players that people love to watch on stream were there, but they were not able to grab the casual gamer.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe there's an issue with it's the same players who are winning all the time that makes some of your casual gamers not really that interested in playing at Gen Con? I mean, there is something to be said to, and this is things we'll kind of see as we go further along in the games. some of the structure with some of the games and how they impact the casual player make some things a little bit more interesting and more exciting to watch. And of course, this is a lot of it also just people learn lessons as games are designed and developed. And, you know, with Netrunner being so open-ended and things being able to flip-flop, there's not really any loyalty to a faction. You're just playing whatever's, you know, you enjoy playing at the time, or while you be the hot deck of the week. But while in a game like in L5R's case, you can align yourself with a faction, and you may not be the best player in that group, but you still have a reason to play. You still have something to try to contribute overall in a tournament, whether you're in the top 16 or you're number 50. And I think with the example of what they did with like the Honored prize giveaway they did on Friday's event, I believe, is a really good example of that. And I think if they took some of those things that they learned, if there was a way they could do it in their other games, it would be great.
But do you find that weird? Because at Worlds they did acknowledge if you were top, you know, player of
your
faction. Right? Like there was top Adam, you know, there was top Wayland, right? Like things like that. And I think those things stand out, right? Mm-hmm. Like to acknowledge those people that go to a tournament level of, or a tournament at that level and play, say, a faction that is not really weighted to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that speaks phenomenal for somebody.
Yeah, we'll see.
And
I think it's a big difference though in like a game like L5R. There's things you can benefit for playing the faction that's less represented and stuff you can get, as opposed to being like, I'm the best guy of the faction that nobody wants to play because it's not really that good.
Yeah, but it's proving, right? Like you look at Worlds where you know, Chris Hinkey's piloted Adam to a crazy awesome finish, right? And I think that's cool because everyone is like that. A lot of people in the top tier look at him and say, look at a faction and discount it and say that, you know, it's not good. This is better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You look at the L5R release when everyone's picking their clans and stuff like that, and a lot was Unicorn sucks, Unicorn sucks, Unicorn sucks, blah blah blah. But then Ben, you know, our good buddy Ben, was like, I'm interested in playing Unicorn 3-core. I'm going to still play them 1-core, and the guy did like, you know, dropped like 2 games.
Yep.
One in each, you know, one in each day. And so I think that speaks a lot when you take a faction and you make, you know, you make a run like that for it. So, I don't know. To me, it's kind of.
We're just gonna call it the bad pub bump.
Yeah,
that's what it got.
Well, to me, it's weighted just under the Colbert.
That's right. It's just under the Colbert bump. We'll take it though.
Right, like so when you look at the Netrunner top cuts and you see 2 Titan, you're like, yeah, good on you. Like those are the ones that stand out. Like, do you think if I see the deck list, do you think I'm going to be intrigued to click on one of these Andys and see like, oh, what is he running in this Andy, or what is he running in this Wizard deck, or oh, this Engineering the Future. Let me look at what's happening in that. You know?
Right.
Like, are these IGs not playing some kind of asset spam lockout? Like, I don't give 2 shits about like how those are like running. You know, the ag infusions are a little different. I think that even though those have become like such a in your face like lately, I didn't think that anybody would, or I didn't think that the amount of ag infusion would be there at a level like Worlds, but I was like, okay, that's awesome that someone brought that. You know, Spags does an amazing job running ag infusion. Right? So those are the kinds of things that I think need to be stand out and recognized. Right? But you know, people want to talk about you know, Hollis, I know you're saying that the diversity is good and the meta is good and stuff, and yeah, I believe that too, but I believe that still that the cream is still rising to the top, and that's still and that's still a problem with the game. Like look how many wizards are still in the top.
And I want to be clear, like when I say diversity is good, I'm talking more on the corp side. Runner side, it is very clearly dominated Crim Anarch. Like in fact, the highest reported Shaper was 20.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I just reported Shaper was 20.
I mean, that's also, I think that's also bumped a bunch of people from the game. Is the right now? I think a lot of people are waiting on this rotation to see how things shake up, right? And then again, you want to talk about unsung heroes. Our boy, Dave, D Weeks, guy pilots Alice like nobody's business. I've talked to him a shitload about Alice, and he made 15th, right? He ran into an IG asset spam deck, and he just got locked out and couldn't do anything, and that was the game for him, right? But
yeah, and I think his next round, he was playing CI, his opponent was playing DLR, and he was just like, I don't even want to play this game. Yeah. And he just, like, shook on it.
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, he does great work with unsung runners like that. You know, so seeing Alice and, and making the cut, I think that's good, even though it is playing to the power of the Anarch, and it does add to that faction pie, its representation. It's still kind of an unsung one, but I mean, that's something that needs to really kind of be shaken up. Like Anarch still being on top after this long is hard, and it's really hurting a play style on the corp side, and that's why you're seeing still. Engineering future still dominate. You're still seeing the IG lockouts, and you're still seeing, the regular, the same old shit of the can, right?
Yeah, I think what it is just like the meta is very much like favoring a lot of like for a long time, right? It favored a lot of really, really hard to trash assets, which meant that it very much shoehorned people into playing very specific kinds of runner decks, because if you can't get rid of those assets because of the power level of those assets, there was very little as the runner you could actually do. I think the meta is beginning to shift, kind of, to where those assets will become less powerful because things are rotating out and cards may get added to most wanted lists, but that's going to take time, and in general, like you mentioned, Jameson, the meta has to go through a pretty significant shift for decks that are out right now to come back in. They got to come back in to make certain decks viable. Like, for example, would well, we saw the German, whatever that German leaked most wanted list was. I guess they play tested with an FFG. For example, would Shaper be now meta relevant if Lady was back in and Prepaid was back in, and basically if Prepaid came back with full force, could that deck even hold up right now against a deck that is completely horizontal like Moons? And maybe not. I mean, like, but like that's the issue, is that like the most wanted list basically has a really difficult part in the game where it needs to be able to be adjustable based on like things that are like troubling the meta, but it also changes have to be added to the most wanted list fast enough as packs come out to adjust to the meta, better or worse. If asset spam all of a sudden becomes if asset spam is the new hotness, then you got to make sure you want to try to have the most wanted list is this balance mechanic to make different factions viable versus asset spam, if possible. Then, if the meta switches now, instead of asset spam, everybody's playing like Glacier, Big Ice, Caprice Nisei, protection assets, whatever. Okay, well now, does Rumor Mill come back? Is that too much? Okay, probably. But, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, the most wanted list has to change almost as fast as card packs come out to help balance or rebalance the meta as how it shifts to keep a lot of the factions viable. And if there's a long period in time in which there's no change to most wanted list, and it directly hurts another faction's like set of cards, it means that faction is, for the time being, very difficult to play in that meta. That's the issue I think we're seeing with Shapers. Shapers have good options, but the problem is that those options, when compared to a wizard that gets 3 credits every time for free every turn, It's a pretty hard comparison. I mean, throughout that game, you probably got, what, in between 40 to 80 credits? So, like, if I had an ID that said, gain 80 credits for the game, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm taking that ID. That's pretty much what Wizard does. Like, it's nuts. It's pretty nuts.
So, I mean, let's also touch on, you know, sticking with Netrunner. I do believe that there should have been a most wanted list a good, you know, chunk of time, probably before this tournament, to give people some prep time and stuff like that. But just your thoughts, guys, on some counterpunches to what Hollis is saying, or some extrapolations from it. We know that these cards are designed a good chunk of time in advance, right? So a card gets locked in, you know, way before someone can see what the meta is going to actually be like in real play before it's released in the pack, right?
Right.
And it's probably really hard to go in and change that. So that being said, do you think when a pack is released, would you guys like to see the community figure it out first? Or do you think the most wanted list should be updated right when the pack is released? Corey, what do you think with that, man? Like, do you give the community time to play with it and actually see the reasoning behind, like, why you're putting something on a most wanted list? Or do you actually just stand up and say, like, I know this is going to be a problem, and basically you're not eradicating it
I get what you're saying.
right away, but you are most wanted listing.
This actually happened in the Star Wars LCG. I believe there was a pack that came out, and as the pack was shipping or releasing, like, FFG put up a post and an announcement of, hey, we, you know, like, this is not balanced, or there's an issue with this card, and they kind of already made some tweaks, like, as the pack was shipping or soon after it already come out. So, I mean, obviously, as you can see how successful that game is, how well that did for it. So I can't use that as a good litmus test, that being a good strategy. I don't know. I mean, I kind of think it should initially just kind of let the community play with it and see. Because there could be just instances of, there can legitimately be overreactions. I think we've all seen a couple cards in the game where people are like, oh my god, this is the end of the game, this is the worst thing ever. The sky is falling, and they didn't really do that much. But then there are some cards that fly under the radar, or some cards that do have a huge impact, and then they do deserve to have, like, reactions and stuff taken against them. So I think sometimes you do have to see, like, what actually ends up in decks, what people actually feel like building. Do people actually get creative and build their own stuff, or do people just take whatever deck X person puts on Netrunner GB that week, and they just play that, and that's like what the majority of the community is.
Change 2 ice or something and then go, right?
Right. Like, is there a lot of creativity in deck building, or a lot of people just take the easy road, and so a couple people do it all for them? So, you know, and can you let that be the dictation of, like, what's the best in the meta when only, like, a good 20% are actually doing things on their own? So.
And you know, like... this is probably not going to be good, but for everything that Damon said, he's made some great points or counterpoints to the community over the years, right? And one thing that I did sticks out is I do think that games like this can be solved, like, quote unquote, right? Like, you can find the powerhouse deck in the meta. You can solve it. And that one post where Damon was talking about this day and age with the internet and collaboration over the internet and putting a game in a more online. I don't know what you guys are laughing at. Me?
No, man, you're good. You're good. I promise.
You know, putting the game online and allowing somebody to just run, like, you know, 80 iterations of something. Hollis, what's going on?
Yeah, sorry. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
like, this is what
right, but you know what I mean. But so it does escalate that, and shit is figured out quicker.
Right, like someone mentioned in chat, they said, like, they feel like a lot of like some Netrunner players or a portion of Netrunner players aren't that creative. But that's sort of a really hard thing to judge because like in my experience, like the really good players in Netrunner that I've met, they are some of the most creative. Like the really good players like like Abram, like Dan, and like Timmy, like Dave Hoyland. Those guys are quite good at the game, and it's not that linear for them. Like I think they get why cards are good, why cards are bad, and they take that and they say, okay, so good card plus another card equals good. Maybe mediocre or even bad card plus any number of cards equals okay. Like there's always sort of this evaluation with like one card and then the other cards that exist that can work with it. It's so rare that you are the person that finds the secret sauce. You know what I mean? Like it's so rare you find the special combo that no one's thought of. And I'm not even sure, even if you did find it, I'm not even sure if that's like even worth it. Like the likelihood of you finding the special sauce, the special combo in a meta that like would be so rare because that means that you would have actually had to actually think and figure out a deck no one has thought of, a combination of cards no one has thought of. And I think it's a bit I don't know the right word for this. I'm just going to say it's unfair to think and a little bit short-sighted, I don't know, to think that out of the list of players that are very good at the game that you know better than all of them. Does that make sense? Like, I think that, I mean, because I would never say to myself, I know the game so well that everybody else is wrong and this is the best deck. Without being, at least talking to someone else and, like, testing it. Seeing if in theory it works. And then saying, you know what, this is actually not that good. Like, the rare examples we see stuff like that happen would be, like, for example, when the boys from San Fran made the Ayla deck, right? Where you use Bookmark. And even then, they even said, like, this deck concept is the most fragile deck concept. If anybody played best defense deck, done. Like, they were honest. If anybody played one best defense, when we start building these pieces, it's over for us. Like, immediately the deck is dead. But there's a single card that no one's playing, and it's that card. We don't anticipate anybody playing it, and this gave us a huge advantage. Shout out to John Trevanius. And Noah McKee, the whole team. Like Wes Odom. Like it's just insane. Like the deck was so fragile that one
time. Shout out to John because he will be coming on as a new member of Bad Publicity.
Hey John, we made it.
There's an announcement. So continue.
Sorry, but no, like that's the thing. Like even in that instance,
scoop the good
that
ones.
Wasn't. Yeah, right? Even in that instance, there wasn't just like one person necessarily making a decision. Someone may have found a unique idea, and then they had to bring it to a group of people, and they had to talk about it, and they had to discuss it, and they figured it out. But now guess what? Now that everyone knows about this deck, the secret is out. I can almost guarantee you if that deck is like emerges as a popular deck archetype, no way it survives. Everyone's going to immediately counter it with the few cards that are available that very easily counter it.
But the weird part is that then how many people went and look at the next big tournament like here, why aren't you running that one copy in because you feel like that deck's going to make an appearance?
It's sort of like
it's like still people, you got to stick with your mold, right? Like
right. Cuz I would be wrong if I did not agree to an extent there is a certain amount of like groupthink. And like Corey mentioned this, and you mentioned this about Damon. This exists if for no other reason but because there are a group of players that say, I don't care about deck building or I don't care about like trying to be innovative. I want to just go to Netrunner DB or a coup or always be running or what have you, and I want to take whatever deck has won the most regionals or been the most consistent at regionals or nationals and all that stuff, and I want to make that deck with my own little like one or two tweaks, and we're good. Which is also fine. But on the rare occasion that someone makes a brand new deck archetype that no one has seen before that completely smashes the meta, I think that is so uncommon and so rare that you are almost better off not doing that. How many people brought decks now? And I know there's two sides of it. There's not only the ingenuity with like deck building. There's also how well you pilot. But how many people brought what they thought was a meta smasher deck to Netrunner Worlds this year, and what won was Moons. Because it's consistent. And you can't, like, even if someone brought the Meta Smasher deck for Moons, the fact is that you'd have to also Meta Smash everything else that's there. You can't just Meta Smash Moons. You have to also play to every kind of archetype that's available if you can. And like that gets very difficult. Effectively, what we were asking for diversity in that regard is we have to find someone who makes a deck that's good against everybody. And that's so rare, I don't even know, like, that's so uncommon. I don't even. It's like incredibly uncommon.
Yeah, you really you're not playing a rock paper scissors game, right? You're not playing that I'm going to bring this deck because it beats this deck. But if somebody brings this deck, then they're going to beat me, right? There's still so much more you have to think about. So yeah, you're just bringing something that is consistent. Right, so you're not playing a rock paper scissors. You're a rock paper scissors lizard Spock kind of thing, right? Like there's so many different shit out there that could be played in the earlier rounds, but then again, consistency moves up, and the winners are crowned, right? Because there can only be one Moons deck that wins, right? No matter how many people brought it. The guy that won with Moons and Andy, he wasn't the only person playing Moons and Andy that day. Like there was other people. So it's just like that deck was able to just be as consistent as it needed to be.
Right.
In the most matchups. Corey, other side of the fence, what do you got to say, man?
Oh, hey, thanks for tuning in for Netrunner.
That's what we do. That's what we do here.
I mean, I don't even know how to segue into that. So
well, actually,
I forgot what we even started talking
about. So what about
what
about consistency and diversity on the other side? Were you happy with the L5R diversity?
I mean, if you look at what made Top Cut, it was a good spread of pretty much everything. In the granted single core environment, there's a lot of there's a lot of what's the term I'm looking for? Variance as far as what you might flip in your dynasty.
I thought you were going to say luck, but
yeah,
okay.
but even with that, there was a good mix. And the cool thing is even the decks that were the most populous in the top 32 weren't the ones that won. So it was actually some of the decks that had like 2 players, and then Crane had 1 person who made it the top 32, and he ended up winning the tournament. Shout out to that guy. Good job.
Good job.
I know a lot of people were talking about, oh man, we didn't have any Unicorn players go 5-0 on Thursday. Yeah, that's why I'm happy, because that's probably the hardest deck to play single core. But you did have 2 really good players make top 32 the next day. And one of them made it in the top 16. So it was a good spread of stuff. And there was some good mix. Like, there wasn't the right answer as what was the best clan to splash. There was a good mix of different people splashing different clans. It was good. It was a lot of fun. It was cool to play against some different stuff from round to round.
Yeah, I was really surprised the diversity on the L5R side. You look at the second day Scorpion took top.
Yeah, it was the highest seed. Was a Scorpion going into the top cut.
Right, Scorpion, Phoenix, Dragon, Lion, Phoenix. If my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
Right, so you look at something like that, and there was a lot of good, spread across there, and it was a lot more diverse than I really figured it would be.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought it would just be made up of like Phoenix and Dragon, and those would be like your main. There's a lot of people who went in, a lot of people that went in feeling there were some that were like miles ahead of the other clans in single core, and honestly, there was some player skill involved and it being a little bit better spread.
Yeah, and to be, I think the diversity of, obviously as time went on, the top players became the top players because they were playing top players.
Mm-hmm.
But
there were people who 5-0'd on Thursday, and then they also made the top cut on Friday. So there definitely was, the pilot did have something to do with some of those games.
Right, but I think that I think some of the diversity and stuff, was in that, and some of the luck involved in the Legend of the Five Rings side was who you were matched up against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If somebody is an experienced player, understood the mechanics, I find that L5R is all about. It's a lot about reaction and timing. When to do something, when to commit, how much to commit, when to use certain abilities, knowing how hard to push and how much you have to lean back. And you saw the experienced players execute that stuff easily, and they were able to exploit people that were playing for the first time. A lot more, and I feel that sometimes some of that matchups in the earlier rounds really, really helped people out.
Yeah. So
like it definitely
it was good. I had a lot of fun in the event. So even like the round I lost in the top 32 was down to the wire. Like my opponent was on 1 honor and I almost dishonored him out. Which is really about the only way Crab beats Phoenix in single core, because they're gonna have a hell of a time to take that last province. So
Hollis, what about if you want to flip over, talk about your experience with the L5R, talk about some positives over here.
It was admittedly fantastic.
Oh well, okay. So I'm gonna put it in right here. This is where I'm gonna put in the con that people were talking about. Since we just moved from Netrunner, we're now on L5R. I think it's the best time to put it in this slot, in this area. So I heard a complaint during the Friday tournament for L5R, and it was so those of you that don't know that are listening, L5R has a chant they've done a long time. They've done for a long time. And basically, it's like whenever they do their opening ceremony for a tournament, the person that's officiating the tournament will yell "Unz," and then the players will, when everyone stands up, and when he yells "Unz," they will yell "Bonsai." Now, normally, this is fine. Normally, in my head, I'm like, oh, sure, 100 people yelling this, not so bad. It'll be loud, whatever. But, when you have, 700 people that are yelling this, and it's like one of the biggest tournaments at Gen Con, and they're all yelling Bonsai, it's incredibly loud and incredibly disruptive to the entire flow of the convention. I remember this happening, and I just took a second and looked around me, and I was like, holy crap, we stopped Gen Con. Like, everyone stopped and said, holy crap, what are these guys doing? And I heard feedback from Netrunner players, and from, actually, I think that was at the same time that the Joust, whatever the multiplayer Game of Thrones game is it Joust or Melee? It doesn't matter.
It's Melee.
Melee. I even heard them complain, because the issue was that, like, people were deep in it. They were, like, trying their hardest to win that game, because it directly meant they would, help them on the bubble and things like that. And when people shouted, they were very much like, whoa, like not only did the tournament not get paused, but that's incredibly loud and disruptive while I'm trying to play a competitive card game. And to that I have to say, get over it. I'm kidding. No, that's not what I really meant. No, I don't mean that. I do think that FFG needs to... FFG, now that they see that, now they know it can be disruptive, FFG, this is just... I'm just asking you, please, if you ever listen to this, just pause your games. Whatever tournament's happening, extend it 5 minutes, extend it 3 minutes, whatever little bit of time frame you got to give them. Give 3 minutes to the other games that are happening at that moment in time, so they can collect their thoughts and just pause and wait for the ceremony part of it to be done, and let them think. It's not. I think that's less disruptive than having them play their game while everyone's shouting, and
then they can wonder, why am I not playing that game?
Yeah. No, and that's the other thing also. Like, I feel kind of bad. Like, as a Netrunner fan, I'm sitting here watching them come into this with a ceremony of people dressed as samurai, carrying the banners of all the clans. They're telling you that the top person in each clan will get their own special prize, and like there's like sort of this like cool like community props concept that you get for being the best at playing this faction. And so you're getting community props, and then you're getting cool stuff that you can probably sell on eBay for a good profit, and but you're also able to affect like the storyline of the game, and you're playing it competitively, and there's a reward for winning on top of the winning for your faction. I'm sitting here while they're giving me all these details that like sound enticing, and I'm like, man, if I was a Netrunner right now, I would be pissed. Because there's no benefit like that in Netrunner. There's no benefit for being the best Wayland player or the best Shaper player.
Hey man, they got 20 years. That other game's gonna grow up.
Sure, I guess. But I'm really hoping that when it's all said and done, this is more of a con before I get into my L5R thing even. But I'm really hoping that this event has and the feedback that you guys are going to give FFG about it. By the way, if you haven't, if you want to see the prize support for FFG, I need you, community, to say something to FFG. I need you to like be loud about it. I need you to tell them, dear FFG, I want you to support the game similarly or more closely to L5R. If you were not there, I will tell you the support is real. I would love to see that as a Netrunner player. I would love to see that for any game they have. A lot of love and support because it only helps make the game grow. It encourages the fans of the existing games to keep playing because it means that they're going to feel like, isn't that crazy? What a crazy concept. You make the game enticing for everybody that plays it, and all of a sudden they want to keep playing it. It's insane.
Man, you had plugged in, and you voted for the wrong one, and they never gave you the chance again.
So
yeah, crazy. You messed up. You blew it. You blew your chance.
It's insane. Sorry, that was another real talk. Yeah, sorry.
So what about the deck building experience with in a situation like this? What do you guys feel about that, like for L5?
I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot. Most people just played the pre-gens that they handed the deck list out for.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you really had a choice in was your conflict side, because most of the dynasty was pretty much preset for you.
Where would you say the highest pre-made deck placed? Like, do you think?
I mean, I don't know because I don't know the deck list of.
But do you think any pre-mades would make a cut?
I don't know. I wasn't following it that closely to know how some of them did.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say. I know mine wasn't like one of the pre-gens. I was playing a weird mix of my splash and my roll card, but I had a lot of fun with it. It did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, mine was a mix too, of day one of whatever was in your head, Corey, and day two I took the shell and just kind of tweaked it a bit. So I think that as people play and get to know the cards and like already like my ability to start crafting and putting in ideas, after 7 games or 5 games. What was the first round? First day was 5, best of 5. So I think it was really good. I do like the format they did for an inaugural, giving the extra time. I think that was needed. I think that was courteous because so that was a positive. So you have some other shout outs for positive experiences or comments on the L5R stuff?
I mean, I think I pretty much did all my stuff on it. So, I mean, I was pretty happy. I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people. Met some folks from some of the other casts. And so that was neat. Ben had a really cool stream set up doing stuff there, and that was really cool of him to take some time and do that. So I had a lot of fun. It was good.
And we do expect that this results to kind of just be tossed out the window now.
For what?
It's not going to be a representation going forward, as in where.
I mean, single core is completely different animal than what regular constructed is going to be. So I don't think you're going to see anything. You'll get a rough idea how some stuff does when the launch events happen, because there's 3 different steps of the launch event. There's first 2 I believe are single core, but then the final is actually normal constructed. And so you'll get some early results how some of those things go, but you probably won't see anything big until Worlds, where that'll be like the major competitive event where it's 3 core plus whatever else may be out by that time. So,
Hollis, do you have anything else to say about L5R?
And you're on mute.
Well done. You have anything to say?
Well done.
Say on the record?
Yeah. On the record. No, I wish I was good enough to be a hot tomato. Or sorry, Hatamoto. As people call them.
Where's the drum roll or the triangle?
Hey, I got my my stronghold. Jameson, did you get your stronghold?
I got a stronghold.
Oh, cool. Hey, Hollis, what stronghold did you get? I'm sorry, what? Oh, are you on mute again? Oh, so weird. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, strange.
So I mean I think that's Gen Con pretty much there from an FFG perspective, right?
Yeah.
Corey, what about outside? Like, you want to talk about some other cool things that happened at Gen Con in general?
I mean, mostly it was just probably some other games and stuff that I saw while like roaming around the
You got a game. You got
exhibit hall.
You got a non-FFG game of the con.
That's right. So the first thing I tried that I did really enjoy, I usually do this thing every year. Well, I used to not preface it with name a game not from your company, but every year when I'd go, I'd usually ask some employee at a booth, "Hey, what's your favorite game at the con?" And if what they would name is a game from the booth that they're working, I would usually ignore it immediately because I'm like, that's not what I want to know. But then if they actually tell me something that's like not what they're trying to sell me, then I'll usually go check it out. And Andrew mentioned Magic Maze was a game that he really enjoyed, and some of us went and played it, and that game was a blast.
It looked amazing.
No, I see what you did there. Get out. But that was a really fun game. That was a really cool surprise. I honestly didn't read much of anything about before going to the convention. I just heard by people at the con to go check it out, and really liked it.
I really didn't hear too much about how good it was, other than it got like a Spiel des Jahres nomination, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I used to buy into more Spiel des Jahres stuff kind of in the past, but lately they've kind of been weird hit or miss on some of them. So when it comes out, I'm kind of like, oh, these are the titles, whatever. I never heard of it. The Magic Maze hadn't even officially come over here to buy yet, so it's like, why look at it and that stuff. So I kind of didn't really look at it and had wrote it off. But when we went over and actually saw it in action, like, if someone tells you the concept of this game, you're just like, listen, go back to your basement, hit your crack pipe, and we're done with you. But like, when you're actually playing it or seeing it played, you're enjoying it. You're having it.
It's crazy.
It was a lot of fun. That was a good surprise.
I do think that game you're going to get burned out on, though. I don't think you could play like hit that on repeat a couple weeks in a row. Or I think you're going to see. I think you're going to need expansions, and which will probably come and to flush it out, because it does seem very like inside the box, just very.
Yeah,
generic.
They do have a lot of different levels and different like challenges you add to the game as you move up. So there's a good bit of content in just the box, and it's not a very expensive game.
No, but some of those challenges are just like, you've kind of just penciled these things in here.
So, but that was a cool one. I talked a little bit. I didn't get to see it, but the guys who do Vast had another game, The Deep, that they were showing off that was pretty cool. I'm a fan of that game. I thought it was a lot of fun. And we picked up Jameson picked up Secrets.
Yep.
Which was a blast to play. We got to play that on like the last day, as people were just kind of like killing time before everyone started heading out. And that was a really, really fun game that I honestly didn't really read a whole lot about.
No, that was.
I just sat down and demoed it.
That was the Corey advice. Pick a, just grab it, buy one game that you really don't know much about, and give it a wing. So I was going through for some other stuff and saw it there. It was decently priced, so I grabbed it. Yeah. And it was quick enough to open and burn, get some games in there.
Did you win the game, Hollis? Was it you? Did you sneak the victory in that game as the hippie? God, he's muted. God, this guy. One job.
I did win, and I was the hippie.
Yeah.
I won because I was the hippie, yeah. Story of my life. No, not really. Like, not at all the story of my life. Like, not close.
So what's your other pickups, Corey? Did you walk away with a bushel, didn't you?
So I snagged Shark Island, Fantasy Realms.
Did you get Fox?
I didn't get like Fox in the Forest.
Yeah.
I didn't get that because I have a friend who has it, and we play his copy most of the time.
I love the fact too, though, as just to interject, sorry, that like the first night of the of the con or whatever, like the official con, like we were in Wednesday, but where you had that big dilemma was like, if I buy Twilight Imperium, am I going to be able to get a game in? And you're like, I'd really like to get a game in here if I can. And I'm like, dude, there is no effing way that you're going to burn a game of Twilight Imperium while you're here.
Yeah.
So there was one scheduled, but L5R ran until like midnight.
Yeah.
We were able to get to it. And the thing that sucks right now is like I'm watching like posts of people on Facebook who are playing 4th edition, and they're like, man, there's like Chain Attack. Those guys have played the game like 4 times already and been posting all these pictures. And then we're trying to get 4 players to schedule a game down here, and it's a struggle just to get 4 people to play this game. And it's killing me. It's killing me inside. Because I love TI and I want to play this game like as much as possible.
Yeah. So in the chat, Paul just mentioned about the Flick 'em Up Dead of Winter, and I was looking at that one too, but I didn't pull the trigger on it because I'm going to get it when it's supposed to be released shortly.
It did look cool. Like they had that big table set up where they were doing it with like the oversized meeples and everything.
Yeah. I bought the promo, so I'm going to get the game. So I got the little dog while I was down here.
Nice.
Yeah, down there. Nice. So I am going to pick it up. It did look really cool. I like Flick 'em Up, the cowboy one. So, and this one's cooperative Dead of Winter feel.
Yeah, I do have a con real quick. I want to throw in. Negative, if you are a well-known game publisher and you don't have a sign hanging over your booth to make it easy to find your ass on the exhibit hall, because I tell you what, man, trying to find Stronghold's booth was a nightmare. Like, I swear I circled that thing like nonstop trying to locate it, and I'm looking up and like every other publisher had a big sign hanging over, and it was easy to locate them in the hall without having to go to the map that was like crowded with people. And I almost didn't buy one of their games because I couldn't find their damn booth. And by the time I did find it, I was just so irritated by like how long it took me to get to this damn thing. So just get a sign, man. Yeah. Just get a sign. Hang it up.
Did you get plays of Shark Island in yet?
We've done one. And I had a lot of fun. I did learn that Alec has never seen the original Jaws. And I'm disappointed in him as a human being.
What? Damn.
So it's cool. It's all right.
Were you the shark?
I was the shark.
Of course.
It's 2-player. It's really hard for the shark player. I got wrecked pretty hard.
So out of all the ones you bought, your game of the con?
My game of the con.
Non-Fantasy Flight related.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's not L5R. I mean, I think the thing that I played the most has been Fantasy Realms. But I think my favorite thing I got was the expansion for Nations, the dice game, because it adds so much to that game, and it's a blast. So if you want to get like a civilization building experience and something that takes like half an hour, check out Nations, the dice game. Plug. You're welcome.
So I can't give my real board game plugs right now because I'll be playing them this weekend. I bought
okay.
I had to pick up because it's a Target exclusive, only in America. they had it there at the booth. I picked up Sonar, the little Captain Sonar light, because there's no way that I can really get 8 players together regularly to play Captain Sonar. Amazing game. So I got the Captain Sonar light, which is just Sonar, and I picked up Secrets, and we played that, and that was I give that thumbs up. That was a great experience, and I think those party games though all depends on the group you play with. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hear that Photosynthesis was a really cool game, but that booth was swamped. Like every single time I went by it, I never had a chance to even get near that to see that game.
Yeah, I don't know about that. If that's a pickup from me or not. Hollis, did you do any other spending there, walking the floor?
No. Like the thing is, okay. So
did you get some new True Dungeon tokens or something?
I mean, I did though. But what you need to learn about me is that like when it comes down to board games, and maybe this makes me a dirtbag. I hope not. But like I find that at Gen Con things are rarely ever like discounted. Like I'm very much like a Cool Stuff Inc. like bulk buyer.
Scumlord here.
Sorry. So like Gen Con is really cool because it lets me like get to play test games, and I get to see what things are what's coming out, build the hype. But often what I find is that a lot of people buy games and then like they'll get home, and life happens and they don't really get to play them. Right, Jameson? So like what I like to do is like I use Gen Con as sort of like a learning experience. Like I'm like, all right, like for example, one game that I will be buying soon is Secrets.
I'm pretty sure if you open the closet door behind you, the Ashes Rise of the Phoenixborn is probably still in there in the package from like 2 Gen Cons ago. I remember you showing me your Gen Con purchase. You're like, look what I got, and I'm like, awesome. How is it? Oh, I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it yet. Everyone says it's good, so I just bought it.
Probably still. Yeah, so there's what soured you, right? One time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like I love board games, but I feel like especially if I'm going to buy them in bulk like that, like I don't. In my experience at Gen Con, they're not even really sold at a discount most of the time. Sometimes they're just sold at MSRP or whatever.
Most of the time they are. I think a lot of the draws that you can usually. Some things you can get a few months before their general release.
Right, and that's cool.
You could get them for like a really good deal with like extras thrown in. Like they'll do bundles and stuff like that.
And that's cool. Like if I had bought, if any of the games I wanted had like extras, I think I would have been more inclined to buy them there. But because they weren't, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where I would much rather just straight up just like wait, like demo some things, see some things, and then hop on a Cool Stuff Inc. and just make a bulk order. I want to play Secrets. I want Maze Runner or Magic Maze. Excuse me, not Maze Runner. Wow, I want Magic Maze.
Series.
Good movie.
Yeah, it's fine. And a whole bunch of other games, and just like add that to my cart at once, and just I have them all.
Yeah, and I was the same, and that's why I talk about the Dead of Winter one, because I knew that I can probably get it at the game store. I get stuff here because they can sell it a little cheaper. So.
Hey, nice job, Jameson, supporting your LGS.
It's what I do. I can save some cash. I don't need to play the board game first. I'm not putting out board game reviews or doing stuff. Like I probably didn't need 3 cores of Legends of the Five Rings, but the reason I did is because they're going to try and start running demos at one of our game stores up here, so have players that they can drop in, and we'll have some pre-made decks and teach them and get that hype up, so people aren't kind of going through the same thing they did at the launch event, where it's like open the box, build your deck, first time seeing the cards, and now let's have a full tournament. Right, so that was kind of the reasoning behind that. I know Hollis was talking about if we hit 4,000 subscribers, we could give a L5R core set away. But I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, we might reconsider. So if you're watching and you're not a subscriber, burn through it.
Just tell 950 of your closest friends.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, it's worth.
and then figure out why you're not playing Twilight Imperium because you have 950 friends.
But that was that was that. I mean, I think I'll be back next year. I really like the experience. The street parties were cool. That was a big plus. The food trucks were awesome. Having variety there. Although it was still cheaper to just go to the food court in the mall if you were on a budget, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, number one negative of Gen Con. Number one negative, and put your comments down below to help me out next year. And I know, Hollis, you feel me on it, buddy.
Oh, what is it? What is it? I'm excited. What is
it? Is it parking?
It's parking, man.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. Just please kill me. Like, from now on, here's the thing. From now on at Gen Con, like, I'm just gonna take a bus. Corey, I'm doing what you did. We're gonna bike. We're gonna bike to Indianapolis. Are you ready?
On a tandem bike? Tandem?
Yeah, there we go.
You know what? Screw it. We'll bike. We'll bike on tandem.
Yeah.
What was that old show with people riding a double bike?
Avoiding the parking charges was
Three's
the
Company?
one thing that helped vindicate me sitting through that bus ride.
Oh my God.
Because
All right, so
that was nice. I don't want to worry about that.
all right, chat. Let me let you know of how the parking at Gen Con works. All right, so here's the deal.
So
the deal.
First, you go to valet parking in your hotel, and then valet parking leaves your car out front for an entire day, and then makes you pay like they actually parked the damn thing.
Yeah,
That's what happened, guys. That's what happened. This really happened. Ladies and gentlemen, this happened. Jameson, do you remember how late we came back to the hotel? It was like 1 a.m, right? My car was still fucking there, Jameson.
It was later than 1, but
Still in front of the hotel at 1 a.m, and I was paying for valet parking. Like, I don't. So guys, okay. So here's the deal. When you come to Gen Con, obviously, you know it's an extra 50,000 people in a concentrated area in downtown Indianapolis. It's a lot of extra people in Indianapolis. So, like, they're going to upcharge you as much as they can. Parking garages are going to get full, so on and so forth. Now, I was a dummy. When we went to the site for the hotel we were staying at, the Conrad, by the way. Oh, yeah, I'm going to blast them. I don't even care. We went to the site. The site said that valet parking was $25 a day, or maybe $29. Now, I already said, hey, that's expensive, but you know what? $25 a day, not too ridiculous, because I'm used to paying, when I go to Dragon Con, when I had gone to Dragon Con, I was used to paying like $29 to $30-some a day. So whatever, I don't care. I get there, and I'm like, all right, so I park my car, you know, I get my bags and stuff, and I ask the person, you know, how much is valet parking? They tell me that valet parking is $42 a night. And I don't think you understand how quickly I shit my pants. I was like, wait a minute, I'm staying 5 nights. I'm sorry, are you serious? So I'm going to pay basically like almost $250 for parking? Like, what? That can't be. I was like, that can't be right. Are you really about to charge me $250 for parking for 5 days? And like, it didn't make any sense. So then I asked about like nearby parking garages. Jameson, how much was the parking garage that was literally one right turn on the same street, or I guess one right turn that intersects with the street that the hotel was on? How much was that parking?
25.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Not only that, but they left my car like just there. My car was just at the front entrance, sitting there.
It didn't even go to the parking deck.
It never went to a parking deck or anywhere. It was just there, and I was paying like $40-some a night for it just to be there. That made no sense. If that was the case, why not I just drive my car to the actual parking deck? That was like 25, like what Jameson. It was crazy.
You know what? You know what it was the equivalent of? Is like you pulled up in front of the hotel, got out, gave them $47. You could have got back in your car and then drove away, right? Like,
yes.
You're like, here's $47 just to leave my car here. Please don't move it. Don't tow it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I ended up fighting.
You probably when you went the next day to get your car.
Yeah.
To move it, they probably just had tucked it in. Like you probably just missed it by minutes. But I'll say that my negative parking experience is that $25 lot, as I pull into it, and I'm like, I don't want to drive around the city looking for parking. I tried to find shit on Parking Panda before and all that garbage stuff. But I was prepared, but I'm an international traveler, and and that means that I come with the sanctity of plastic, with a credit card.
Yes.
And I expect when I come through at the end to get my little parking pass thing and go, not to see a goddamn sign that says cash only. Right? Not that I'm in there. Not that I'm in there for whatever. What was it? 5 days, 4 days, something like that. Yeah. And I had to pay like now I'm like, well, how the f do I get $100 out of an ATM in America? Like credit card advance this, right? So now I'm paying like. I walk up and I shit you not, I wish you guys had been there, because I give the lady the ticket. She's like, good afternoon, sir. I'm like, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. My friendly Canadian spiel. I give her the ticket. She puts it in. And she's like, the look on her face is like, oh, sir, it's $109. I'm like, yeah, I've pretty much figured it's going to be over 120 some. And I'm like, hold on a second. And then I'm like, here's 100. Here's a shitload of quarters, nickels and dimes. Do you guys still take pennies down here? Yes. Here's some of those. Right. Right. So, and I'm like, she's like, well, thank you. Have a nice, she was honestly like, didn't, expect someone, she thought I was going to flip or whatnot, because she probably doesn't expect someone to leave their car in there for as long as I did. But I mean, yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good guy, Jameson. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Bum, 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 bum.
Yes.
Right? But yeah, I mean, I wish there was. I know Dragon in chat was saying he parks at the stadium, and I heard about that kind of stuff, but I think, didn't you have to buy that like in advance, like something to do about Gate 10 parking? Weren't we looking at that?
Yeah, I think you did have to pay for it early. Like when you get your room or something like that, it gives you a way that you can go ahead and buy your parking pass. So
I don't know, but I mean, and then someone said we need to get a hotel that's connected. Like we were pretty much connected to the Circle Mall. This wasn't like a drive far thing. Like we walked to the convention every day. That's why I rolled in there, parked my car and left it for as long as I did. I wasn't going in and out and all that stuff, right? So just holy Toledo.
It was man, parking it's the worst. Also, what made it worse is, like, for me, what made it worse is that the first day, like, all the garages were full nearby, and I'm asking the hotel, because obviously they want my money, so I'm asking the hotel, so where are the nearby garages? Like, you have to know. I can't be the only person who's asked this question.
Yeah, hello, concierge.
Right,
yeah.
and like they're trying to help me out here, but I'm like, okay, so this, like, I was like, that garage is full. What about another one? They're like, well, there's this one. I was like, that garage is full. What about another one? Finally, I get so like fed up. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll find it. Can I please just get my car? I'll get my car right now. So they bring up my car. I drive. Now it is some blocks, but I drive basically from where the convention center is. In the opposite direction of the convention center, I just drive straight. There is a huge building that is 3 stories tall that says event parking. It's $15 a night. The walk is 10 minutes away from where our hotel is.
Yeah, I needed to find that spot earlier.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I was like $15? Like, so you're telling me that I will pay less than half of what I was going to pay for like, this is insane. Like, this is actually nuts. For 10 minutes. I like how
you're excited at the prospect of paying $15 for parking.
I mean, it's just like,
what a deal. Oh,
well, yeah, because what bothers me about it is clearly that hotel was probably not $47 a night.
Yeah, Corey, right now we're talking American prices too. So this is ludicrous. This is ludicrous for a guy like me, man.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, like James, to convert this to metric. No, I'm just saying,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just pointing out, like, that hotel on their website has, like, the price for the parking. So, like, when you look at it, you're like, okay, this is what I expect to pay. So when you think that's what you're going to pay, you get there and it's like almost double because it went from 25 to 47 or whatever.
Yeah, so
I was like, holy
stuff up for Gen Con.
Right, they jack it up just for like basically it's equivalent of like what's it called, like Uber surge pricing. When there's a big event, they'll automatically charge you more because they know the demand is really high. And I'm like, okay, sure, I get it to an extent, but you're almost charging double what you have on your site. That's insane. That's insane. Like,
yep.
But
There were some things at Gen Con that you just gotta get used to.
yeah, you just
But
gotta
hey,
roll
Hollis, I mean, obviously you rode up with someone, so like they obviously offered to split the parking bill with you, right?
true.
Because that's the cool thing to do.
They did do that, yes.
Yeah.
So it
Usually
was
next year if you fill the car up, like maybe someone else rides up with you.
maybe if somebody else that I know in Atlanta.
Yeah, maybe. They might help split that parking charge. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'll bus again next year. Who knows?
No,
Who
nope.
knows? See what happens.
hey,
Nope,
you
we're
coulda- if Corey, if you were really looking to split parking with somebody, you could have split parking with me, man. Like I would have let you. If you were feeling left out of this equation here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
I had a pretty fun trip, though. Even though the hour and a half layover in Nashville and at like 3 in the morning both times was
Wow.
There's a surprisingly large number of homeless people who hang outside the bus station in Nashville.
Good city though.
Fun
If you
fact.
get time,
Is it?
it's one of the cities. It's I've done Nashville. I've checked it off.
Oh, okay.
That's got some magic and some personal touches there from me.
Because walk around that bus station, I didn't want to go too further than a safe space.
It's a music
But-
city.
But outside of that, though, every other stop, fantastic, no problems. No issues.
I'll give a shout out to my good friend right here, Corey, who was able to tour me around to the cool local pubs around Gen Con. We went to some good spots. The Ram was really cool, how it was fully decked out. If you're a Privateer Press fan, right? That's who did
Yep,
it.
you got it. You got it. You learned. And then we did what? Scotty's?
Yeah,
Scotty's
how
was
they
good.
changed the menus and stuff like that. That was really cool.
Yeah. Scotty's was a lot of fun, and then that place, was it Kilroy's? The place we went on. That was actually a pretty cool spot. So
Yeah.
it was just open late, because even with Gen Con going on, there's a lot of places that still kind of close early.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and then Hollis and I ended up some hole in the wall with Boggs, so it was weird.
yeah.
That was fun though. That was a lot of fun.
I do think. Do you guys have anything else? Because I'll say to close it, what we should do for next year is do more of a BP meetup, right? Like, I know we were
Yeah, that'd be cool.
we dropped a couple tweets and stuff like that, or we told people where we were going if they asked and stuff. But I think we got to talk to Seth too. I mean,
Shout out to Seth.
I ended up in the back of the Ram a couple nights where Death Cup championships were going on, and hey, if you've ever seen Hollis play quarters, guy's a damn natural. He was
It's so dumb.
He was popping
It's so
trick
dumb.
shots like there was no tomorrow. I swear, like bank, like it was like that old commercial with was it Jordan and Bird? Playing horse. Hollis was calling the bank shots. He was going off bottles, glasses,
I
double
have no idea
tapping to
what
go
you're talking
in.
about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, guy. Like, honestly, just went in there, missed the first 2 shots, and people were like, oh, play at our table. And he was like, boom, 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 boom.
Someone showed me the right way to do it, and after that, it was like easy. Like at that
Yeah,
point, I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, it's really easy to make." Okay,
He was like having conversations with me while playing. He's like, hey, can you go get me another drink? Yeah, see that waitress over there? Bam, 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 bam. And he's just like, drink for you, quart, boom, sink, drink for you, you drink. And honestly, it was just nuts. So maybe we get some people together and we do a Death Cup table next year. Hollis can lead it. Hollis can run that table, and you guys can be blasted out of your mind because this guy's.
Okay. Well. Okay.
Yeah. All right, done. Challenge accepted.
Funny. That's so funny.
Cool. Well, awesome, guys. Well, hey, moral of the story is we all had a great time. And everyone we met and everyone we talked to, thanks for saying hey.
Yeah.
It was cool running in and seeing some, real people other than just like names and handles that pop up on the website.
Right.
Also, if you got one of those snazzy Bad Pub Imperial favors.
Yep, we passed out a lot
Thanks.
of promos. I passed out some Netrunner promos during Netrunner. People hit me up for those. I had our Gen Con exclusive Imperial favors for L5R. People came up, hit me up for those. So it was cool to meet and talk with everybody. Waiting in line. I think people just kind of were drawn to the Blue Jays hat.
They were like, "Why is somebody wearing that?" Oh,
hey, I recognize you. So it was kind of cool. I'm always blown away chatting with people who come up and say that they like what we do. So
Yeah.
all you guys that hang out with us, thanks a bunch.
Sorry, I want to shut this off.
I will definitely return next year. Oh, what's that?
Paul Avers caught me in the middle of one of his, like, I guess he just entered a game, and he was like, "Hey, you guys sent me a promo card," and I was like, "Yeah, bro, you got a random, we did a random, you got it, congrats." And he was like, "Yeah, well, I wanted to give you this," and he like handed me a old school L5R lanyard.
that's awesome.
Yes, and like I was really humbled by this because I was like, that's not the way this works, bro. Like, we give you free stuff. Like you watch us, we give you things. It's not a thing that you give us things. It was just really, really nice. It was super nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So shout out to him for providing this. This is very nice of you. Thank you very much. And like everyone has said, I met so many people that were like, "Hey, I'm Tobin." Tobin was awesome also. Tobin was like, "Hey, I really like what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for doing the content." That means a lot because this is a labor of love for us that we just enjoy doing on the weekly. So we're just guys with opinions on the internet. Thank you.
There's not a lot of us, don't worry.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in short supply.
Yeah.
1,000 views. There's only one of me. Kanye. Thank you very much for making it an awesome con. It was really cool. We are gonna be back into the swing of things with our next episode. We got a bunch of stuff in the pipe and in the barrel with this show. Talking about we got some Netrunner data pack to get back into the L5R release. So we're gonna deep dive some of the clans, going back and forth, and we have obviously we're gonna wait till a little bit closer. I know a couple of the other ANR stuff is already talking about rotation, but we will do all that good stuff about the our top cards that we're gonna lose. Cards that we think are going to increase in value, all that all that fun rotational talk, and you will probably see our fearless beanie wearing leader make an appearance sometime before the end of the year, hopefully.
Mr. End of the year, Mr. Boggs.
Yeah,
Mr. Boggles.
Boggles.
Bogglies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I don't want to end on a downer, but yeah, we probably won't be seeing like new ANR.
True.
Products
until probably closer to the Worlds.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the year.
So, it will probably be after Worlds, right? So, when we start lining that stuff up, he is already knocking at the door here, neighbor. Do you guys have anything else to say?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks.
Nope. Just thank you to everybody that supports us and said great things at Gen Con and outside of Gen Con. We appreciate the feedback. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hats off to that person that did get a Bad Publicity Imperial favor and has already sold it for $150 on eBay. I was blown away. I was blown away.
He even bought it.
Yeah, I didn't buy it. Yeah. I'm gonna start the market for these things right here.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at Jameson buying his own promo. Like it's like insane. Like I'm like, Corey, you've made cardboard gold. Thanks.
You're welcome.
No. Wasn't me, man. Shaggy that.
Oh my god.
So, thank you very much. Back to regularly scheduled programming next week. This was our Gen Con wrap up. Love you guys.
Hey, I don't love you, but like I like you. Kidding. I love you guys. Have a good night.
You love them, Corey? Say
Corey,
it.
we're waiting.
Say it.
You got to sign
Corey,
off.
say it.
You know, I find you okay as a friend.
Oh! Q.
I mean, I'd high five you.
But not at Gen Con day one, though.
Yeah, fist bump at Gen Con. I didn't get sick this year, so it was fantastic. Plan achieved. It's one thing I learned from Spags the year before. Fist bump's the way to go. Avoid the con crud.
He's right.
And end on that tip. Guys, have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.